Alright, hey y'all, what's up? This is your girl Nia here on another Thursday evening with One Purpose Magazine digital show. I bring you updates and cultural topics that I think are relevant for us to talk about, dialogue about, bring into the conversation, continue conversations, evaluate, have a discussion, wherever you place yourself in that category. So I am here to just lay out some information. That's what I do. Again, I am Nia Andrews. I am the owner, publisher of One Purpose Magazine at Jones Publishing and Enterprises. If you drop by here and you never come here, I ask that you like, share, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we can put you and build our community with you involved. How about that? I love the idea of building a community with like-minded people who actually care about building a community. Like, for real, not just for play. So, let's see, as far as updates, I like to throw in a lot of quick updates for the magazine because a lot of you know about the platform or know about the digital show because of the magazines, and hopefully you are a subscriber to the newsletter. But if not, you can always go to the website and do that at onepurposemagazine.com, and you can subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll get something in your inbox. Stuff, information, things that we cover. So updates with that is that we do have the digital issue that's dropping on March 10th. March 10th, the new digital issue will be released on the website. And a print version will be available. How I'm going to disseminate that, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. No, I'm not a stuffy type of person. I'm here to be here, right? So we'll see. If you're interested, hit me up. If not, then I'll just have some in my office when needed, or for trade shows that I'll be doing over the summer or into the summer and throughout the fall. So the first of our quarterly issue is going to be on March 10th, and with that I am going to be doing a live show. I wanted to start going live for real, like with this show, but I'm just not there yet. It's a lot of work to go into doing a live show, so it's easier for me right now to pre-record and then publish it on YouTube and on Facebook, and hopefully gain commentary and comment sections. But I am very active on social media, like all day, every day. I'm always commenting on people's things. I'm always available. It's who I am. So I'm kind of not, when it comes to access, I'm really bad at cutting off access. Even though, like, I don't like, this is getting all personal and stuff, but hey, y'all getting to know me, right? Even though I don't really care too much for like phone calls and stuff, I hate for people to call me because I feel like you put me in a position to where I actually have to be present, and I believe in being present with people and having real dialogue. And so I guess I relinquish my control with the phone call, so I may have control issues. We'll talk about that. But we'll talk about that at some other time. But for the most part, I am pretty accessible. You can access me usually through Messenger and through email. Social media comment sections. If you comment on something, one of my million pages, I'm usually present and will comment back. That's important for me. I think that that's a valuable component to One Purpose Magazine that me being the owner offer access. I was just listening to, and in the updates I go off topic sometimes, but I was just listening to an owner of a new platform, and he said that I can't remember how he phrased it, but he had insinuated that sometimes the mistake that business owners make is putting themselves out in front of the product or the service or whatever it is, And I was disagreeing a little bit, but in his defense, he is a celebrity, kind of. He's known. He's known. I don't know if he will be considered a celebrity, but he's known. So, maybe it's different depending on who you are, if you're a public figure or not. Maybe if you're a public figure, it may get in the way. But for me, y'all don't know me. Some people that I know don't even know that I do this and have been doing it since 2014. I think you can go all the way back and find videos from when I was up, when I did this in 2014. So it's been a while, it's been a very, 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 very long time, right? So anyway, since it's been a very long time, we're ready for that quarterly digital issue. I'm talking about cultural issues that we face as Black people. I'm bringing forth and highlighting some amazing people who are kind of buried in our communities that don't get a light shined on them often. I am doing my bourbon and conversations. I'm bringing that to print. I have a Facebook group that I dedicated to that. Started that last year. So I'm bringing that to print. I'm just a busy girl, and I'm still, as you all know, I had shared that I was working on, so two things that I'm working on that are high priority is I finally moved into I haven't moved yet. I'm already there. I'm moving ahead of myself. But I have my headquarters for my foundation, which is the fundraising arm of Jones Publishing and Enterprises. It's One Purpose Love Foundation. So I am using that to raise money to keep things afloat, to train youth in media, and to do various media projects, media-related projects. Media kind of tied with public health issues because, as you all know, I talk a lot about public health issues. I've been entrenched in it for the last 2 or 3 years, and so found somewhat of importance in packaging my messaging to be related to public health issues that mostly impact my community. So that has been important. So I am doing that, and you all also may know or may not know that I am building a distillery in Illinois. So these are things that I've been working on. And so they're going to be showing up in different areas if you follow me and if you subscribe to the newsletter, if you pay attention to the magazine, that stuff will be there. And I apologize if I bore you with the updates. My bad. Or if I bore you, period. Like, she's so boring. But I really believe in having dialogue and bringing forth truth and transparency, and for people to know what it is that I'm about and why I'm here. I truly believe in that. So it may seem boring, but it's important. It is important. But we're going to talk about that and what different media outlets bring forward and what their job is. And I always say, if you all just give me 15 minutes of your time. I understand you love entertainment. I understand that we all want to be distracted from our day-to-day lives. But if you just pay attention to 15, 20 minutes of things that impact our community, I think that overall it'll bring us together more and make us more of a collective community, more so than being divided and in our own space. If we kind of pay attention to platforms that talk about us, it kind of makes us bring a relevance to our community within ourselves. So we just gonna work on that. No judgment, no whips in the situation. Beating people into shape. None of that. We don't do that. So I have been talking about media, particularly Black-owned media, for months now, and I'm not going to stop. I just can't stop talking. I cannot let up because it's so important. It matters, and I get disappointed often because if I can just be honest, a lot of times I'm by a hospital, so it's a hell of airlift. So a lot of times our messaging gets, um, when we have our way of trying to lift our voices and bring important things to us to the forefront, you know, it often is then adopted by other groups. And then it kind of gets, um, the point of it is washed away. You know, like we said Black Lives Matter and we was making a point with that, but then everything matters. You know, all lives matter, this matters, that matters. You know, it kind of washed away the point of saying Black Lives Matter. And the same thing with Amplify Black Voices. I see a lot of people now, a lot of different groups talking about amplifying voices. And it's not to say that they don't matter or they shouldn't have a messaging around making their voices relevant, but it just washes away at the point that we're making about our issues and our groups and our conversations. So with that being said, I will always drive the point, even if the messaging is taken or, you know, used in other areas. I will always drive the point that Black-owned media matters, and we have to support and sustain platforms that get it right on behalf of Black people. I never want to exclude anyone because our experience is layered and it incorporates so many different nationalities and ethnic groups. But Black-owned means, to me, a cycle of Black people benefiting from what is told and profit from telling it. Right? So, I'm going to kind of get into the topic of Black-owned media and how it's relevant. But last week, I mentioned, was it last week? No, the week before, I was talking a little bit about an incident that happened on social media with, I'm not big on mentioning names, you know, but we talked about a libel case. I mentioned it before, so I'm not going to keep mentioning it because, you know, it just gets to the point where it seems redundant. But the meat of what I want to discuss is really media relevance and how there is a significance of media and the part that it plays in our community. And we talked a little bit about a libel case and a defamation case that came forward with bloggers putting out false information about people and being penalized by the courts for doing so. And that's very important in media because when you make a platform, when you build a platform off giving false information, it minimize or diminish the importance of what it is that we do. And the importance of what we do is so relevant because it gives people knowledge. It really does. It gives people facts and it gives people knowledge. And so I'm going to get into that. So before I get into the role of media and the role media plays among us, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to address what the First Amendment says. So I don't, you know, it's been a while for a lot of people to talk about the Constitution and the First Amendment. You know, we hear the First Amendment a lot. We hear about the Second Amendment a lot. But have we really, you know, heard the words expressed and said? So the First Amendment says, because it seems to come up often nowadays, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So when you get to talking about these freedoms, we have to remember that protection applies specifically to the criticisms and scrutiny of government. People who publicly have substantial responsibility for or control over conduct of governmental affairs. So I say that because for some reason in the YouTube platform world, people think that they can criticize and scrutinize regular folks or public figures, celebrities, and spread lies about them, say false things about them, and say, well, oh, I'm just criticizing. But that you can get in trouble because that's not what the First Amendment protects, So it's important to know what's out there if you're going to be listening. To not know what's out there, but know what's protected and what's not protected. And it helps you kind of differentiate the junk, and you have to differentiate the junk from what you should really take in and absorb and make it a part of your thinking. You have to differentiate. Like, of course, we all like the junk. We all like to be distracted. It's entertainment. It's entertaining, but you can't take entertainment in as your source of knowing or knowledge. So in the role of the media, the term, which is the plural of medium, and in our world, we always have these plural forms and singular forms that get confused when you talk about medium and media and communications and communication. It's a dynamic that mess a lot of people up. But the term media, which is the plural of medium, refers to the communication channels through which we disseminate news, music, movies, education, promotional messages, and other data. It includes physical and online newspapers and magazines, television, radio, billboards, telephone, the internet, fax, and billboard. Fax as FAX. So the function of the mass media. So you have these 4 functions, right? One is information, one is interpretation, one is instructive, and one is bonding. Did I say 4? Did I say 4 or 5? So there's 5, I'm sorry, because I did throw this last one in, which is diversion. And I talked a little bit about diversion before. So in the information function, this satisfies curiosity and reduces uncertainty to better understand how we fit into the world. Now, with technology, because of oversaturation of media outlets, accuracy and information is compromised because of the increases of competition to be the first. And we see that so often. You know when we see it the most? I think nowadays, and it's so disappointing, when someone dies and people want to be the first to let folks know that somebody passed away, and they get it wrong. It's like, really? Why you don't want to confirm? Why would you even want to put out there that somebody died? Like, I wouldn't even want to get that wrong. But people do it, and as soon and you always the first person to put out wrong information, everybody is going to share it. So once the truth comes out, everyone's going to know that you're not even a credible source. But we've learned that credible sources they're not held to people who are not credible sources are not held to any accountability nowadays because they go on with their careers as though it never happened. So the public have to be engaged and begin to hold people to account when they give them false information. Like, I don't want you giving me fake information. I'm not coming back if I know the information that you give me, and it is fake, and it comes from just being sloppy, not by a mistake, because mistakes are inevitable. We are human. We make mistakes. There's plenty of times I've given out information and I'm like, oh, I forgot to say this, or I forgot to do this, or I read this wrong. But that's just human error. Human error is fine, but just to jump on top of something to be the first without checking for accuracy, that's just sloppy journalism. That's just sloppy media, and it should be held to account. So the second function that I want to talk about is interpretation. Interpretation is newspapers. Newspapers are more on the side of explicit interpretations of current events, ideally leaving no room for confusion or doubt. Now, cable news and radio personalities, now even podcasters of social, cultural, and political commentary. This is full of subjective commentary that's based on or influenced by personal feelings, taste, and opinions. Yeah. That's leave things to interpretation. You know, it is what it is. That's a lot. That's a lot. We get that a lot. We get a lot of that, especially with podcasts being a popular thing now. But I love it. I love podcasting, and I think it's great. But with it comes a lot of interpretive media. And then there's instructive. Media outlets exist to cultivate knowledge by teaching instead of just relying on information. I don't want to name a lot of channels, but like the main one is like your history, History Channel and things like in Discovery. And then when they transfer over to your YouTube platforms and things like that to make it available in apps. That instructive media function is very valuable because I rely on those platforms a lot as well for information when I'm reporting out something and to go back and verify things or just to see the information or the instruction that they give on a particular topic, especially when it comes from an information function or an interpretation function. And then there's bonding. The bonding function uses the media outlet to bring people closer together, people who share common values and interests. I really like the bonding function because I think that new media now creates more opportunities for that. And we see that. You see that here. This is what I'm doing. I like to attract like-minded people who care about a particular community and bring forth commentary that relates to that community. So I think the bonding function works. It's a good function. It can be a healthy function, but it also can be a dysfunctional function as well. I think we saw that with the Trump presidency, but we don't have to go there. And then diversion, simply to be a distraction to escape our day-to-day lives. I talked about this a little bit earlier. I think every platform should offer somewhat of a diversion function because it's important to add some type of element to help people escape and to help people kind of get their minds off of things. And it's just important, and we see that in the numbers. We see that in how much people pay attention to entertainment news and gossip. So people want to be distracted, and that's okay. Media also functions as a gatekeeper, and its functions are gatekeeping is important. And I think that the streaming services that give you the apps on a lot of like your Apple TV, on your Fire TV, gives a lot of options for people to find gatekeepers and to find information that is vetted even more, because mainstream media is part of the system of being ahead, right? And so when you have these what I will call gatekeepers, you can go to them to find more information that's sourced out. So it functions are the gatekeeping functions. They are relaying, limiting, expanding, and reinterpreting. Many of us who have found our space on YouTube or other platforms that I mentioned just before that we own function in this area often because we seek out more sources, go further in unpacking traditional news reports, and seek out experts in our own communities to reinterpret some of the news reports. Now, I think a very good example of a gatekeeper is Vice. Now, you can challenge me on that, regardless of. I don't care. Your opinion is valid here. But I say Vice because Vice really does a good job into digging into topics that we see reported, especially like opioid epidemic, things around that topic, things around the topics of community issues and social issues that happen in various communities, like homelessness and just they really dig into topics. And so I see them as like a gatekeeper of a media that functions, a media platform, a source that functions as a gatekeeper. So that's that. That's talking about the functions of mass media. Now I'm going to go a little bit into talking about media literacy. So in Illinois, just last year, a bill was passed to incorporate media literacy into the high school level education system. So it's the Public Act 102-0055. This act, Illinois House Bill 234, amended the school code by adding a provision that beginning with the 2022-2023 school year, every public high school is required to include in its curriculum a unit of instruction on media literacy. It additionally sets forth what topics the unit of instruction shall include and provides that the State Board of Education shall determine how to prepare and make available instructional resources and professional learning opportunities for educators that may be used for the development of the unit of instruction. So there it is. My personal opinion about this is I think that it's important, but I just want to say that I really do hope that they rely on professionals to help them guide their lesson plans when it comes to media literacy. Because as an onlooker or as a someone who is a viewer in the media, of the media, not in the media, but of the media, not really a part of it, they can have biases as well. So I think that when you teach media literacy, you have to have a skill in being able to teach from an unbiased perspective, because sometimes viewers we choose who we want to watch for particular reasons, because we have we bond the bonding function. We bond with that particular platform. And so if you are teaching and you have that where you're bonding with that particular platform, you may teach from that platform's perspective. So I think that it's very important that they have professionals, media professionals, help with the lesson planning and that. And so I'm going to go ahead and read the section of the school code that was amended by adding the section 20. Section 5, the school code, is amended by adding section 27-2008 as follows. In this section, media literacy means the ability to assess, analyze, evaluate, create, and communicate using a variety of objective forms, including but not limited to print, visual, audio, interactive, and digital text. Beginning with the 2022-2023 school year, every public high school shall include in its curriculum a unit of instruction on media literacy. The unit of instruction shall include, but is not limited to, all of the following topics: assessing information, analyzing and evaluating media messages, creating media, reflecting on media consumption, social responsibility, and civics. And I'm going to read this one all the way through. Suggesting a plan of action in the class, school, or community to engage others in a respectful, thoughtful, and inclusive dialogue over a specific issue using facts and reason. The State Board of Education shall determine how to prepare and make available instructional resources and professional learning opportunities for educators that may be used for the development of a unit of instruction under this section. So, there it is. There it is. Cool beans, right? So that is something to be happy about, that your children will learn about media literacy, and hopefully they handle it the way that it should be handled, as far as using professionals in the field to train up the teachers so that they can prepare the students and educate the students properly. So that's that. Next, this is a special section that I wanted to add to the end of my commentary about media literacy, because a lot of us are going into business or finding avenues that are giving us another stream of income that is probably a hobby that we decided to turn into business. We're getting into maybe e-commerce sales. Some people are just leaving their jobs and doing things that they used to do on the side professionally full time, and that's all a great thing. Small businesses advancing in communities is a great thing. They are what upholds a community. They are what gave us, that they help bring us wealth, as stressful as it can be. They help formulate and accumulate wealth in communities. So it's very important to establish businesses, right? So I'm just going to put out some pointers on when you're starting your business, some things that you can do to become official, to become legit. And these are just like on the top, on the surface things that are important. And as we go along, I'm going to add this commentary at the end of my videos so that you can grow and we can grow and continue to grow together. And for the most part, a lot of this stuff is what I've already applied over the years. I've already done it. So it's not something that I have not applied to my own life and my own structure in my own business. It's not something that I just read on the internet. Some of it I did get from the internet and Facebook groups, but they apply to what I have already implemented in my own structure. So with that being said, the first one is kind of establishing your business. So you have to come up with a business name, and you have to decide where you want your business to be located, right? And it's important to have an address or use a virtual office address for your business. When you are establishing, some people like to use their home address, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can have a home business. And I believe I talked about Lynn Richardson, and you can Google her. She gives good advice about running a home business. Now, I don't know how she advises how to structure that, but if you want to run a home business, I think that Googling her, Lynn Richardson, and finding out what she says about that is a very, very valuable resource to look into if that's what you want to do. But if you want to do a virtual office, there are many out there that provide services for virtual offices that you can use the addresses and other tools that they have implemented in those virtual office spaces that works for business. And usually on their websites, they create a community. So in that community, they give you different tools and programs that works for small businesses to organize, for mailing systems, for phone systems, which is something else that you would want to establish for your business. Applying for an LLC, I think that's very important. There's a lot of information out there on applying for an LLC. Me personally, I go directly to the state website to apply for or register my business for an LLC. For me, that's the most effective way to do it. But, it is what it is. Let me see where I have this link and it takes you somewhere. Let me see where it takes you. Oh, it takes you to CorpNet. So yeah, I usually go through the state. It looks like CorpNet is it's a fast and easy way to start a business. But I usually go through my state, and the instructions there, I've done it in Illinois and in Indiana. So I found that was the easiest route for me. But establishing a separate entity is very important in my opinion. And apply for your EIN. It's free. You can do that at irs.gov. Also, you can apply for your DUNS number, Duns and Bradstreet number. It is free. You can go to dnb.com/DUNS number /get-a-duns.html and get your DUNS number. You will need that when you begin to establish like a trade line. We'll talk about that later in building business credit, but in getting set up, these are little tidbits of things that you want to do. Also, establishing brand identity. I will talk at the end of one of these videos about trademarks and logos from my perspective, because I do have a Master of Jurisprudence in Intellectual Property. So I will go into depth in that in another conversation. But as far as just branding yourself and brand identity, you can find people to create you a logo. And I will say this, you want to find someone who can create you a logo. And the best place to go for that is it Fiverr or Fiverr? Fiverr, Fiverr.com. Or if you know someone, I think it's always good to use local people in your community who are professionals. So Nextdoor may have a business in your area. Nextdoor.com may have a local business in your area where you can find someone who specializes in creating logos. And the reason I say to find someone who's professionally do logos is because if you use some of the platforms like Canva or any of these logo making platforms, you have to be very careful because you cannot register that logo if you use those platforms to make it, unless you're using your own images and photos that you own and that belong to you. But if you're creating something using their content or their images and their illustrations pulled from their platform, then you can't register the logo. You can't own it. And you want, just for the sake of hope of longevity and hoping that you're successful, which we all start with that hope, right? You want to be able to own your mark. You want to be able to say that it's yours. And if you start fresh from the beginning and have your own stuff created, you won't have to go back and change it, unless you feel like, you just need a brand identity change. But I would recommend starting with someone local and doing it right the first time. There's so many more people doing it now. When I first got my logo for One Purpose magazine, I flew all the way out to Atlanta and had someone from Chicago, someone designed my logo. And so I still use the exact same one, the exact same logo. I still use it. He did such a good job. It was a thought process, and I still use it and love it. And so you also want to get a business number. I mentioned that a local and toll-free, a local or toll-free number. Register your business number with 411 at listyourself.net. Get your business a simple one-page website. If it's just, so I can go deeper into this. But if you want to use a simple one-page website, there's so many ways that you can do it. A good way, if you just want a simple page, you can use Google. They have a page when you register your business, and I think I mentioned that too, that you can register your business at Google. So there's so many one-pagers. So you can establish a Google page. You can establish owning your domain through Google Domains. And if you just want to do a one-pager, you can do it that way. But there are so many ways that you can establish web presence. So like I said, you can do that through Google. You can do a page through that. Many people are using the Wix web builder nowadays. Some people are using Weebly if you're selling e-commerce. Some people are using Shopify, and I think, Wix and all of these things. But if you also want to do some email marketing and want to engage with people by collecting their email addresses, you can also create a web page through a platform like MailChimp. There's tools within that platform too, where you can learn to create yourself a web page, just to have a web presence, because that's very important in establishing and owning that domain name. That's important too, because that's a part of your intellectual property. See, when you're building your business, you're building ownership. And so part of owning ownership is owning these intellectual properties under your business entity. That is very important and in the long run valuable, because you just never know what you will transition to. You never know if you will want to go into partnerships and things like that. And so you just want to have things structured for success. Is how I look at it. So, and it's always also a good thing to have a blog attached to your website, where you, or your web page, where you're putting information about your services or your product, or your expertise, building a blog and writing little short 500-word pieces about what you do there, just so people can engage and get to know you. So next week we'll talk about trade lines. So I just think that those little pieces and tidbits of things help. If you have more information, or if you want to share some valuable information with the community, with the One Purpose Magazine community, please put it in the comments section. Now, there are so many avenues and so many ways and so many things that are out there. Nothing is ever wrong. Nothing is ever too much. And if, we just have commentary about it. So comment in the comments section if you have more information that you want to share with people. If you are establishing a business and it's something that you want to do, if anything that I mentioned that you need more information on, go ahead and reach out to me. I'll give follow-up. I don't do consultations or anything like that. All of my information is for the people when I publish it, so that you can have, this is free information. This isn't anything, and I'm just bringing it to you on this platform, so it can be in one space so you can find it. So I can also try to post some of the links that I mentioned in the comment section, in the below, in the description section, so that it's available. So if you just want to link up. One thing that I didn't mention is also doing a business bank account. I'm not a big fan. Like, usually if you have a bank that you bank with personally, I would recommend going in and talking to them, or setting up an appointment and talking to them about their business banking features. I'm not going to throw a personally, I'm not going to throw a particular bank out there because they're not paying me to do that. But I would say, if you have a financial institution that you use, to go and talk to one of your business bankers to get them to help you in establishing an account. Also, there are a few online resources that host business accounts. And so some of those online resources you can Google for a business account, for online business accounts. You can Google it, and it'll give you a name of the top, that I believe like the top 3 will be listed when you Google it. But none that I personally recommend, but they're out there. So anyway, so next week I think I'm going to tap into trademarks and logos, or I'll talk more about trademarks and logos, and how you should register them, which is a little bit more of a complex conversation, but you do not have to pay someone hundreds and hundreds of dollars to register your trademark. Anyway, we'll talk about that next week. So until next week, I'll holler at you all. Peace.